You're gonna cut?
I'm going to cut with my husband right in front of you.
Right ahead.
Knocking up to the boss, you know.
Hi, Bonnie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm okay.
Everybody at home?
Everybody's home is doing okay too. Ain't bit nobody. Nobody bit me.
Yet. That's a big yet. Vacate so somebody else can sit down.
One other thing, thank you all for coming to our barbecue. The barbecue, quick little history, because this is Hampton Falls and we got lots of history. The recipe came from John Dodge, if any of you know him. He opened and owned Gagway in 1974, 74-5. That's Peter Hoyt in the corner there, wave Pete. Hi, Pete. Pete, when I got here in 1986, Pete was the deputy chief. He used to do this operation with John at Gagway. He also knows the other guy who kind of came up with this recipe at Cornell. And if any of you happen to know who John Dodge was, he passed away recently. He was truly a chicken doctor. He had his PhD in poultry science. Brightest man I've ever known. When you go to a restaurant and you get an egg, behind the scenes, those eggs come in these big long tubes, kind of like a sausage, but the yolk is in the middle, right? John helped develop that machine. That's how bright he is. He figured out how to take an egg apart and put it back together in the tube, right? But he could not work a 3-button coffee maker. But anyway, great guy. But he and his fellow compatriots went through college and earned a bunch of money using this chicken recipe, this seasoning recipe, and Pete can tell you all kinds of stories about that. So, jumping forward, the Hampton Falls Fire Department was started in In 1947, if you didn't know, there were a lot of fires in New England. Most of Bar Harbor, Maine burned. A good portion of Exeter burned. The town of Raymond entirely burned down, the whole town. Candia, that direction. A lot of fires. Because of the hurricanes a couple years prior and droughts, they ended up with amazing big fires. Hampton Falls did not have a fire department. So that, and along with a couple of other reasons, having Hampton cover our town, they decided in the winter of 47, they got together and said, hey, we need to have a fire department. And so they had a bunch of guys in town, got together and said, hey, we need a fire department. The spring of 48, they actually officially formed it and started having meetings probably on a Tuesday night, which we've done every night since, pretty much. At that time, Louis Janren, where the boatyard on Kensington Road is now, was a lumber mill. And because of the lumber mill, you have Whittier's Pond. So that's part of where that came from. And what is now the hot tub place on Kensington Road was our old fire station. So Louis Janren, who owns the lumber yard next door, gave the land to the town, or to the association. It was a private organization. They built the fire station. They got a couple of trucks donated. Tell me if I'm wrong, Pete, but basically they got a couple of trucks donated, and then in 1949 they bought the brand new engine. So if you want to go see our very first engine, go down to the little shed down below. We're going to get it up there when we can get it started. Go down below, there is our 1949 very first engine. They also had another tank truck, and then from there they just kind of progressed. So Louis Chandron, and then I'm the 6th fire chief since then. Bob Woodis, Mark Toole was before me, Bob Woodis before him, Bob Davies before him, Gene Evil before him, and Louis Chandron. Right? Is that 6? We'll go with that. So, moving forward, we had a 1969, we had a 72, we had a 78, 74, 78. International trucks. They were much smaller than what we currently have. They were about, the biggest one had 1,000 gallons of water. Today, our smallest truck now has, engine 8 does have 1,000 gallons of water. Engine 9 next to it has 1,700 gallons of water, and the 2 tank trucks have 2,500 gallons of water. We ran fires, and they ran about 20 calls a year, maybe 25 calls a year, but they ran through fire. Add in the whole, the brush dump was truly a dump, and it would catch on fire quite a bit, and a lot of those 25 calls were actually going to put out the dump every flash forward, I showed up in 1986 at the point where I went to work for John Dodge, and he said, you've been here long enough and you're not doing anything, let's go you're going to join the fire department. He was already a lieutenant on here, and I'm like, I came out of Phoenix with the whole concept of, you don't walk into a fire station and join the fire department. He goes, yes you do, this is New Hampshire, let's go. Walked in, they talked to me for like 5 minutes and said, you're on the fire department. Oh, that's okay. From there, moved along. We progressed a little bit. So Bob Woodis was the fire chief in 1990, the late 90s, or the early 90s, and then we were kind of outgrowing that fire station. So what sits here between us and this big monster tree next door was the house of Mary Creighton. And Mary Creighton gave the land to the town with the understanding that she could live in her house for perpetuity. And she lived another 4 or 5 years past, past then. We built this monster fire station, and when we back our trucks in here, we kind of went, wow, this place is massive. And there's so much room. And 30-something years later, we're kind of going, we're getting a little tight for space. That being said, we've always been a volunteer fire department. I became fire chief a little over 18 years ago, almost 19 years ago. Probably about 22 years ago, we started paying our people a stipend. You show up to a call, you got a check mark at the end of the year, we gave you a couple $100. A few years ago, we separated the fire association, which is what when we do Christmas trees on the common, or we're doing some kind of a bean dinner, or we're doing some kind of other thing. That's the association from the municipal fire department, which you're standing in now. The municipal fire department pays the building, the maintenance of the building. It pays, the insurance. We're covered by their insurance. We're under their all that thing. So, long story short, we've changed out a few trucks. The 2 trucks we have out here, the Tank 2 and Tank 4, T2 and T4. The first one we bought in 1991. Got it in 1992, about the time the fire station was built. It showed up before this building was ready to go, so we kind of parked it in for 2 weeks had another engine. We've since gone through that engine and moved it up. Engine 8 is about 10 years old. Engine 9 is now technically 2 years old. Tank trucks are the mid-90s, early 2000s. And the ambulance, which was one of those things where we used to go to car accidents and help out. Right now I have 35 members on the department. They live in Hampton, Falls, Seabrook, and Hampton. And one guy in Trenton. But everybody else is. Hampton does not have a call department. Seabrook doesn't have a call department. So if you see somebody in a blue shirt and he's got a little emblem on it, ask him a question. All right, thank you for coming.